All right, joining us now. I mean, he's our first ever guest. This is Hall of Fame stuff. The first ever guest on the Throwbacks podcast. You all know him from film and TV, but that's not what we're here to really talk about. We're here to talk about NFL. We're here to talk about where his heart lies in the NFL. Ashton Kutcher joining us. What's up, buddy? Thank you so much for coming on.
How's it going? You guys well?
Dude, can we talk about the stash, bro? What are we doing with that thing?
Yeah.
I like it.
It's awesome.
This is a big year for the Chicago Bears, and if you don't go Ditka, go home.
Is that a Ditka stash? Is that in honor of the Bears?
It is 100% about Mike Ditka and 100% about the fact that we're going to be better than 500 this year, and that makes me happy.
Way to set the bar high for your team. Okay, dude. So
no, the last time we were good. I think you remember the last time we were good because there was a very, very monumental moment in the last time that we were good that you were very, very involved with.
Dude, I was just so Jerry and I were just talking about Denny Green and the famous rant, Monday Night Football 2006.
The Bears are who we thought we were. The Bears are who we thought we were.
And we let him off the hook.
Crown them, but we let him off the hook. It's the greatest speech.
Well, dude, that's because we whooped your ass in the preseason game 3 in Chicago. And that's why he was pissed. And by the way, I was just telling Jerry, I was like, dude, I was literally Mark Dalton, our PR guy, right after I was standing right outside the tunnel. You might have been right outside the tunnel too. I was standing right outside the tunnel and he's like, next up, Matt Leinart. And I'm like, holy crap, dude. Like, I don't know how I'm going to follow it. He was so pissed. But I wanted to ask you, I know you were there. What do you, besides Denny Green, what do you remember from that game? The favorite memory?
Okay, so I was in Bidwell's box. I was the owner. Cardinals owner's box, and like biting my lip the whole time because I didn't want to be like that guy who got invited like to the part and then was like obnoxious about what was happening. And it was like I've never shown more restraint in my life because like with the Bears, like I remember the interception Urlacher had.
Thanks.
And I was like, that was the moment where I was like, oh wait, this is happening. And I was, and I just like grabbed my fist like this, and I'm like just containing every single ounce of energy I have to not just lose it, because I'm trying to have like a sense of decorum while I'm in the owner's box.
The owner's box.
Then there's the return kick, and then and I'm just like it's just build, and I felt horrible for you, but I felt real good for me.
When Devin Hester returned that, like, were you just like, you were like, oh my God, I got to get up and stand?
There was a moment where the lid came off. The lid definitely came off, and I got all sorts of fired up. And that might have been like other than my son's flag football, coaching my son's flag football, it might have been the greatest football game I experienced in my entire life.
So I want to get in. We're going to get into flag football a little bit later, but I gave you. So I don't know if I've told you this. So I got a game worn jersey that game from Brian Urlacher, Monday Night Football. I think I did give him mine. I don't know what he did with mine. It's probably in the trash. But he gave me his game worn jersey, and what did I do? I gave it to you.
You gave it to me, and then I took it and got it autographed by him.
Yeah, and then he wanted to kill me.
And it's in my mom's house right now, and it's her like prize is that jersey from that game. It was.
I gotta say, if your mom has it, that's probably the best keeping. I was gonna ask you where it was. That's pretty much one of the safest places a jersey like that could be.
I mean, I have like a Chicago Bears like hall in my house that is just like, it's like Mike Singletary, Gale Sayers, Dick Butkus, like my guy Walter Payton. I have William Perry's. I have the prototype ring for the 1985 Chicago Bears that they fit on William Perry, and I have it. Like I have the ring my collection is pretty stout. I have like Kevin Butler's football from the 85, but I'm a collector of Bears paraphernalia.
So then what is it like for you on Sunday? And we'll get down into it more with the kids in a second of like how you watch, but are you just Bears only? Do you pop on Red Zone for a few minutes? Or are you just locked into the Bears and everything else is just noise?
So in my football watching has changed since I had kids.
Same.
So before I had kids, there's like BK and AK, and BK, I watched every game. Like, and any game I couldn't watch, I would record so I could watch the game. And
TiVo era. Yeah.
Yeah. My whole week was just dedicated. The only thing I ever watched was football, and I didn't watch a television show. I own nothing, just football. Like, that's it. And so my guy TJ and I, who we lived together for like 5 years, and he would wake up on like opening day and he'd be like, "Are you ready for some football?" Come screaming into my room and like slide on his knees. And he always had like a Cowboys apron on and we would just watch football all day long. Now that I have kids, I watch the Monday night game and I watch the Bears game, and then I watch my Hawkeyes play on Saturday. And so I get 9 hours of football a week, and that's my exchange for having kids. And I get to coach my son's flag football league, so that I get a little bit more football that way. I would only watch football. If I could just mainline football, if there was a drug that was football, I would take it every day.
I asked Jerry this because I experienced watching a playoff Knicks game in New York with Jerry. And I got to be honest, dude, like I always like, I'm a fan of the sport of all sports, but I'm not a passionate fan, especially in LA. We didn't really grow up having a football team. But I have never had more anxiety watching a diehard fan watch their team than we were in a bar. We had a couple drinks, and he's just sitting there, and it's like you couldn't even speak to. Is that how you are when the Bears are on? Monday Night Football, like the kids are like, "Hey, Daddy's watching the Bears. Get the hell out of my room." How is it like watching with you?
I lock it in. I usually for the first half, I do not sit down. I have like a rule that in the first half I can't sit down, and for whatever reason, I feel like I'm influencing the outcome of the game.
You guys are crazy, dude.
By
where you sit.
By how I sit, where I sit, what hat I'm wearing. I pick an outfit. Like I pick a specific out. If we win game 1, I'll be wearing that outfit the whole season. Like I won't change any. It is very. I'm very religious about my football, but I also I like to I can. Like I try, the older I get, the more I relate with the coaches than I do with the players. It's a weird thing. Like there was a switch that flipped that I was like, well, I can't do those things anymore, physically. And so now I'm watching the game like as a coach, and I'm like, oh, he's setting up, and I'm watching like what defense is being played and whether or not it's like a setup for a blitz, and then like seeing if I can predict what the play is going to be before the play is going to happen. That's become my new way I watch football.
I'm kind of like Spider-Man memeing with you right now because everything you just said is exactly the way I watch, especially Giants and Knicks. Like even if I'm in one seat, that's not where I've even asked my wife to leave the house before. I'm like, it's your energy. Your energy's not right now. You need to go for a walk. But where are you standing right now? I was going to ask you, I felt like it's kind of not like an unfair question, but like Bears quarterbacks, right? Because obviously Caleb Williams right now everyone's anticipating what he's going to do. Is Caleb already in the Bears sort of Mount Rushmore without throwing a pass? Because the franchise history of quarterbacks for the Bears is a little rough. Do you have an order of Bears QBs? And what are you hoping for just to see out of Caleb in like a rookie year?
I mean, in 85, I was 7 years old. Okay. And I picked the Bears as my team. Like I was like Super Bowl shuffle. Like it was so cool. I'm like, I'm the Bears. That's my team. And everybody around me was like Packers fans. And I'm like, nah, the Bears. And it's been the brutality since 1985. We always have some version of a stout defense, some version. But it's just been brutal. Everything from Bubby Brister to the Cade McNown era to just walking through quarterbacks. And I think, look, part of it is the coach carousel that is also taking place. Like, you could be a good quarterback, but if you have a different playbook that you've got to like put in, it's like anything in life, you got to get it to the point where it's like second nature. Like when we're driving a car, we don't sit there and go, all right, I'm going to put this hand over this hand and then turn the wheel. We just turn the wheel because we're so used to turning the wheel. And there are some quarterbacks that have had the blessing of having the same coach year in, year out, the same playbook, the same system, the same. When you know the locker room's the same, and this thing, all the other things are exactly the same. Then you get to play the game. But until you get to that point, you're just trying to do the right thing. And if you're so busy trying to do the right thing, you're not playing. And I feel like there's been a combination of like coach after coach after coach after coach, quarterback after quarterback after quarterback after quarterback. And maybe the guy with like, you know, the longest, like Jay Cutler is a great quarterback. Like he's great at playing football, but he also had a little bit of a carousel of coaches and this thing going, and that's hard. And so the hope is that we've got Eberflus, and we're liking what we're seeing out of Eberflus. We've got Caleb, and we're liking what we're seeing out of Caleb, and that those two can stay connected. And maybe Shane Waldron, who we just brought in from Seattle, maybe we can get a unit that stays together and gives the guy a fighting chance. But so that's my hope. Now I was a little bit. I will say, like, I like Justin Fields a lot. Like, I think he's an extraordinary football player. And, you know, but as I watch and compare his accuracy to Caleb's accuracy, I go, I can't deny that Caleb's accuracy is, I mean, some of these like rollout passes that he's like lobbing 40-yard passes and dropping it right on Rome Odunze, like right over his shoulder in the preseason. I'm impressed by his passing ability. He's got this cool demeanor that's confident, but also humble. And there was one part in Hard Knocks this year where the coach
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
and he goes, and he's like, or he said something to the effect of like, I'm confident that I did the work. And I go, that's real confidence. Like when you're confident that you're doing the work, that's true confidence. But it's a combination of that and humility. And if he maintains that, that's what leadership looks like. And so that's a nice thing. And so I have high hopes, but I have realistic expectations.
I always get asked about Caleb, obviously being at USC, and everyone's like, like, what do you think? And, you know, he's a little quirky. He's a little different. Obviously, the talent is undeniable. And Ashton, you just said it. Like, the one thing that I always tell everybody is like, the throwing off platform and all this stuff that wows us, that's great. And that's there, and that's a gift, and he has that. But like his work ethic, because he told me at SC, he's like, I want to be the greatest quarterback to ever live, and didn't stutter. Right? Brady, Mahomes, like he did not stutter. And it's not even an arrogance where you don't like him. It's just like, dude, this kid really believes like he's going to do that. And that's why, because of the work, that's why I think he's going to be great. It's not because he can throw the ball 80 yards and he's going to run around and make plays. Like he's a gifted player, man, but he works. So is it playoff? I mean, are we thinking playoffs? I mean, winning the division?
Well, before I get into my predictions, because they are generous. How many new offensive systems and OCs did you play under as an NFL quarterback, Matt?
So I played Denny Green my rookie year, which was the old digit system, which is what he made famous kind of in Minnesota when he had Culpepper and Randy Moss, which I really liked. And then he got fired. And then Wisenhunt came in, and that was kind of the old Steelers. Roethlisberger ran that. It really didn't fit my style. And then Todd Haley was there for 3 years. And then I went to Houston. So I wasn't one of those quarterbacks. Like I played in Arizona for years, but then I went to Houston. I played for Kubiak, which is what we're seeing in Kyle Shanahan, which to me is the greatest offense for a quarterback. And that's why a lot of these quarterbacks, you can almost plug and play. So I learned, I probably had 3 or 4 offenses and then I went to Oakland and had a new offense. So probably 3 or 4 offenses in 7 years. And I wasn't I wasn't talented enough looking back to overcome that part. Like I needed structure. I needed to be in a rhythm. I needed to have kind of that same thing year in and year out so I could build, because the stronger part of my game was the mental part. I could understand and read and process. The physical part was what I lacked, obviously. I'm not Caleb Williams, and I wasn't running around,
but that's
it's hard.
But that's the round trip to, I think the bigger point in all of this, which is if he has consistency around him in the system that he's in, I think he's going to be extraordinarily successful. And so that's my sense. Okay. The prediction.
Here we go. That's what we're here for.
I believe the Chicago Bears right now, the spread is 8.5 games. I believe they win 11 games this year.
Wow.
Yes.
I love it.
I believe they win 11 games this year. And that's before the playoffs start.
Well, you know what? Here's why
it's a lot more than Jerry's Giants, that's for sure.
That's for sure. But what I do like, we're all talking about Caleb and the Bears offense and those 3 receivers. Matt and I on like a test show said that's probably the coolest and deepest 3 receiver core maybe in the NFL. I mean, 3 weapons that could do very different things, very effective. But what people don't talk about enough is I think the Bears defense is going to be ridiculous. I think the offense is going to be fun, but I think that Bears defense is ready to go. So I think that is in play, Ashton.
All of our division games are late in the season. They did an interesting thing with the schedule this year. I don't know if you noticed. Like everybody's division games are later in the season. And so the teams are going to be priming up. But division games in the North late in the season are cold. And so it's like, so the question goes, who can play in the cold? 1. And 2, who can run the football? Because it's going to be a smash mouth. There are 2. Chicago and Green Bay are inhospitable in the winter. Inhospitable. And so who can play in those conditions? That's what it's going to come down to.
You're making me a believer.
Yeah, I think I think you hit the nail on the head with, I think those Bears-Packers games very well. If you pencil in Detroit, say Detroit just on chalk is, all right, they're the best team in the division. Say they get to 12 wins. I'm just saying, hear me out with this, though.
They're not the best team in the division. Chicago Bears are the best team in the division.
I do think
I'm telling you, they are. But mark my words, Chicago Bears are the best team in the division.
Oh, no,
do you think the Bears are going to have more wins than the Lions this year? You just said Bears are going to win 11 games.
I think the Bears win 11 games.
And the Lions win less or more?
I'll throw one more at you. I think we sweep Detroit.
You are out of your mind.
Listen, I've lived my life out of my mind.
I know you do.
And it's gotten me places.
Yeah, you could be a complete genius. We could be playing this back 3 months from now saying, wow, we all should have followed Ashton Kutcher's picks because the Bears are 7-1 going into Detroit.
All right, I'm going to offer you a natural transition here.
Okay.
Ready? There's one special weapon that the Chicago Bears have this year that nobody is accounting for. Can you guess what it is?
Anything in the coaching staff, Matt? No. I mean, not special weapon-wise. Or special teams.
Your mustache?
Special teams.
Torrey Taylor.
You know what, dude? You are so right.
Punter.
It's a good call. That's a really good call.
Guys,
yes.
I was on the sideline of the Iowa Hawkeye Iowa State game 2 years ago. And the scout for the Chicago Bears was there. And he comes over, and I was like, "Oh, you're here looking at Linderbaum, right? The center, because the center was
he's good.
We had a 6 center." And I was like, "I know you're looking at Linderbaum. Pay attention to the punter. This guy is a coffin kicking genius, and the field position game is the world, right? Like, I mean, if you had a player that could guarantee you over the course of a game 40 yards." Guarantee you 40 yards. You'd be like, no, he's on the field. We're putting him on the field. Torrey Taylor guarantees you 40 yards because he puts the ball so beautifully, so deep. He's going to create plays for that great defense, and he's going to give the offense field position to put points on the board. And the difference in football games in the NFL is a field goal. And if you got 10 yards, the difference between 50 yards and 40 yards, one, you're not kicking it, and one, you are. And if it's 3-point games, Chicago Bears win 11 games. We sweep Detroit. We're going to the playoffs. I'll see you there.
Let me tell you, this is exactly what I wanted out of our first guest.
By the way, if they win,
what I wanted.
If they go to playoffs, you are going to be just awful to be around. I feel bad for the wife. Okay, I want to transition really quick, okay? Because we all have kids. You mentioned, I think you coach your son's flag football team, which is awesome. Yep. I coached my kid, my oldest, for years. So one of the reasons that kind of this show brought me and Jerry together is just being a dad. And we're a boy dad. I got 3 boys. He's got 2. But I don't know if you know this. My wife is expecting. And
Congrats.
we're throwing another one, just another one into the mix.
I got some heat on me for a third. Ashton.
So we're not gonna. Yeah, Joe, Jerry's next. Trust me. We're not gonna find out. But I am a boy dad through and through. I know you have a boy and a girl. So I want to ask you, what is the difference and what's the best thing? I kind of secretly, healthy and happy baby is number one. I would love to know what it feels like to be a girl dad. I got to be honest. What is the difference for you?
The first point, I don't know if it equates to it being a girl dad or it equates to her being my first.
Mm-hmm.
But when I had my daughter, because we had her first. My wife had my daughter. Let's be clear, she did all the work.
You did not have. Yeah, you did not have.
Moral
I had
support.
fun. She did work.
Yeah.
I had never been so in love in my entire life. Like, it was a sense of it was a depth of being in love. And Mila and I have talked about it a lot. It's like I've never loved anyone this much ever. And that was like the first sense of and there's a weird, I'll tell you, I parent them differently. My son, I'm always like, yeah, let's go for it. Go. Like yesterday, we're popping wheelies on a bicycle in the driveway, right? Or it's like, see if you can jump down 4 stairs. Now you jump 3. Let's see if you can jump 4. My daughter, I'm like, I just want to protect her. It's a sense of just wanting to protect her from. And when my son cries, I'm like, all right, you know, good. We're gonna let what do we learn? Let's go. Let's move on. And when my daughter cries, it's like my heart is out of my body and I can't put it back in. And I don't know if that's. There's probably a ton of just in some senses maybe toxic masculinity that I've had in my life that it treats my son different than my daughter in that way. But I also notice the same thing with my wife. She's very strict on our daughter and a gush ball with our son, right? Lets him get, and I think we balance each other in that way where my daughter and I, we talk about and my son, it's no, go do the thing. It's just a slight tone difference. But I think the challenging thing with daughters versus sons is there's some the relationship dynamics with daughters are difficult. The friendship stuff is a whole other level of importance for them. Well, especially for, I guess for my daughter. And so if she's out with her friends in some way, isn't in sync with her friends, it's a real thing. And my son's kind of meh, okay, let's go throw the football.
Right.
But the relationship stuff is challenging.
Yeah. I just, I want to feel it. All my best friends have girls. I'm just I got the boys. I got my 4.5-year-old is every day, just Daddy, punch me in the face today. I want to see what it feels like. No, he's dead serious. I'm like, dude, we can't do that. I always say he's going to be a middle linebacker. He just doesn't feel pain, but it is, you're right. It's just a different way of parenting, I'm assuming. So,
I would bet that you'll be softer with your daughter than you are with your sons.
For sure.
But you don't know what you're having, so.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what pops out here in February.
I just, betting odds, I got you at a girl. But again, healthy baby's all we want. But I got you at a girl. I think it's
so Ashton, I'm married to a Cuban lawyer. Okay, so already I'm screwed. But she's the best. But she says, I desperately want you to, for the reasons you just kind of said, I want you to have a girl because I want you to feel that type of love for a daughter. She's like, I don't want you to have a girl because I know that I will be awful. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I will be like protective and just like she's already. My wife is an extremist in a lot of great ways. It comes from her culture and her family and all that stuff. But she's like, I feel bad for you if we have a daughter. And I was like, oh, dude, please no.
I will say there's another thing that happens is like you have a different level of like introspective feminism that you build where you will instantly see the inequities between men and women in a more visceral way. And you'll also do stock on every relationship you've ever had with a woman in your life and whether or not you treated them the way that you would want your daughter to be treated. And whether it's like the way you broke up with someone or whether it's like, you're like, man, I would just want my daughter to be treated better. And you'll do stock of it. And I think women make the world a better place because of that, because of daughters.
And I know you mentioned too that you coach like your son's flag football team. I'm not quite there yet. I'm trying to get my kids off the monster trucks. I mean, they're very much into the monster trucks, so slowly trying to introduce sports. But I remember reading about you years ago, and I thought it was the coolest thing. And I remember saying, like, I want to do that. Like, I know you coached high school football. Is that correct? Was it high school? But is this before you had kids, or was this while? Like, where did that fall in line? Because I wonder, were you like prepping to coach your kids one day, or is this something that like, hey, I got the summer off, I got time, I want to go coach, draw some plays?
At the time, I had 3 stepdaughters, and I had a little break from working where I was just like, I just need to like chill out and take a break. And I was feeling this sense, this like slump of like, I don't know, I just wasn't happy for whatever reason. And I had a buddy who was like, hey, I'm coaching the Frosh team for Harvard Westlake. I'm the offensive coordinator. And he would like come over and watch football with me. He was like, would you ever want to like coach? Would you ever want to be a defensive coordinator? And I was like, oh my God, I would die. Like I would love to. And he's like, well, why don't you come out and be the defensive coordinator for the Frosh team? I was like, count me in. Like I'm there. I'll see. He's like, are you serious? I was like, I'll see you at practice.
I'll be there.
And I just started doing it. And I got this like edge back of like joy, being in the game, teaching something I really felt like I knew. And more so like having these guys look at you when you're a coach and I still talk to a bunch of the players today. I have a picture of my team over here. Like it's just having a sense of like this relation. It's a different thing. Like a locker room's a different thing. And it was a wonderful experience. I did it for a couple of years, and then I realized that I couldn't give them what they ultimately needed because I needed to go back to work, and my schedule didn't work out, and I didn't want to be like an absentee coach. And so I stopped. And then my son was like, Dad, I really want to play flag football. And I was like, okay. And I was like, and a crazy work schedule and a bunch of things going on. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to coach. Amelia looked at me. She's like, you're going to regret for the rest of your life if you don't coach.
You're coaching.
And so I was like, okay, I'll be the assistant coach. And so I signed up as the assistant coach. And then halfway through the season, the head coach had a son in San Diego and he needed to travel back and forth. And I had to take over as the head coach. And it's juice. I mean,
dude, it's
just
so
like,
great
when it's your kid and you're like, and in Pee Wee, the coach can be on the field. And so I'm lining up behind my son at middle linebacker and reading. And I'm just like, I had game film. I took game film on the other teams, and then I drew up all the plays, and I was able to like run it is so bonkers the extent that I went and had more fun coaching flag football than I could have possibly imagined. And I'm very excited. Our season starts. We got our combine next Wednesday. I'm ready to go. The kids have to try out, and then we draft our teams. I'm ready.
Honestly, coaching flag football. My oldest son is 17 now, so he's playing tackle. But I coached from probably 7 to 14, and as they got older, we had a Super Bowl, and our league, the league down here where I live, they actually film every game, so you can go on YouTube or something and you can watch the game, which is great. Some leagues don't do that, dude. When we were like a dynasty, we won almost every year, but I would lose sleep, dude. I don't know if you were like that. Like, you're so involved. And my wife is like, what are you doing? I said, babe, like, we're in the Super Bowl. And I'm sitting literally on my iPad watching YouTube. I swear to God, she would.
You're like watching for like 7-year-old tendencies.
Dude, I'm literally getting, by the way, I had my coach who was like Connor Scallions for Michigan. He was deciphering signals and stuff. And we had a whole sheet. Like, we would call it up a color and we would knew the plays. It was so, and I'm like, dude, if I'm coaching, I'm all in.
I was looking at personnel packages. I literally drew up on the other team. This is for my son's 7. I drew up the opposing team's personnel packages in order to understand where the play was going and send a blitz directly into the play. It's nuts. Like, I'm up all night. Same thing. Like, at midnight. I would wake up in the middle of the night. I was like, oh my God, I got it. Like, I know exactly what the package, like, I know exactly. And there's weird rules in flag football. Like, you can't run in between the hashes. And so you're like trying to like design things for like, it's so much fun. And
if you had to do like a press conference after a game, could you see yourself having that Denny Green moment? Like, we knew who they were and we let them off the, like, what kind of
if you lost the Super Bowl? Oh yeah.
Like, who's your coach comp? It could be from history or present. Do you have like a coach comp, more personality, or it could be style?
I mean, we lost a couple games last season, and I just had a bad day. Like, I had a real bad day. Like, it was, I couldn't get out of the funk. Like, it was because I couldn't stop rerunning. Like, well, if we've done that, like, what do I need to do next week in order to teach the kids contain? Like, what do I need to do? Like, it was like, no, and I would just like run loops on it. In a press conference right afterwards, I think I Belichick it.
We're on to Cincinnati. We're on to Cincinnati.
Just not a lot of energy.
I have enough media training that I can hide emotion real well if I need to. And I would just repeat, I would have the attitude of like, well, you watched the play. You saw what happened. We all saw what happened.
Oh, dude.
The question is, are we going to fix it next week? That's the only question. I would use the press conference to talk to the players.
Guys got to do their jobs. They got to do their jobs.
I feel your pain so much, dude. It is the worst. I get asked this a lot, and I'm assuming I know the answer before we let you go, dude. Would you let your son play tackle?
Mila and I debate about this all the time. The answer is yes. If he loved playing football, if he gets to the point where it's time to consider tackle football and he loves playing football, yes, the answer would be yes. For me, for Mila, the answer might be no. And we debated it. And it's funny, like, there was an article that came out this weekend. I think it was like the New York Times or something about like 11 kids have died already this year in middle school and high school playing football. 2 from traumatic brain injuries, and then the others are like related. And so I was like, that's a lot of kids. And so I start digging into the numbers, and I'm like, okay, well, wait a second. How many of these were from football? And then how many kids die in? It's horrible and it's awful for any parent that had to go through that. Like, I can't even imagine. But I was just looking at it as like a data problem. And I was like, I feel like they're projecting that these are football related deaths when when really they might be something. And so I started looking in, and there's like this youth cardiac arrest thing that's like on the rise. And you have kids like in basketball and other soccer and all these other sports that are having these cardiac arrests. And so you can't really attribute it necessarily to football. You just attribute it to athletics. And I think that oftentimes there are a lot of like, they skew the numbers in football because it is a violent sport. I don't deny that in any way, shape, or form. But they attribute a lot of these deaths and injuries to football when really they might be just athletic related injuries. And so I started going through the numbers, and it appears to me that every year there are, and consistently every year over multiple decades, there have been on average 4 deaths a year from some type of traumatic head injury that you could directly correlate to a football related death. And the heat stroke and other things. You could get heat stroke when you're playing soccer. You get heat stroke when you're playing any outdoor sport when it's 115 degrees in the valley right now. That's just irresponsible humans. That's irresponsible coaching. And I think a lot of the head related injuries are irresponsible coaching as well, where you don't teach the kids how to do things the right way. So the answer is we'll cross that bridge when we get there. My hope, frankly, is that flag football in the Olympics goes off and like sets things off in a way that like I love coaching flag football. I'm shocked at how much I love coaching flag football.
It's the best.
Maybe he'll just want to play flag football. But if he wants to play tackle, best believe.
Dude, you'll be up drawing up plays.
Listen, real quick. If you need an OC, dude, I still got my playbook. A lot of championships down here in the South Bay. If you need an OC in the off season, though, just saying.
I would love to watch
reunited, buddy.
together.
Reunited. Let's
OC,
go.
DC,
and it feels so good. We'd be the most handsome coaching duo in all of coaching.
And our wives would hate us just the same because we would watch so much film. So much film. So good.
I love it.
Oh, man. You're the best, dude.
Can't thank you enough for doing this first ever guest. I feel like if I run into you in the street 6 months, and I'm just going to call you Coach. I don't even think I'm going to call. I'm like, oh, there's Coach right there. What's up? You really have Coach vibes.
Coach.
When is flag football starts? Yeah, you guys start up soon?
The real season.
Next Wednesday is tryouts, and then we draft our teams, and then we've got and then we'll do 2-a-days or 2-a-weeks. For a couple of weeks, and then we start kicking off games.
And then easy work, Bears Titans, right? Easy work for them.
No. There's no. I don't. There are no easy work games.
Love it. That's what a coach says. That's what a coach says.
Nothing is a given, right? Absolutely nothing is a given. Do I think that we have what we need to win? The answer is yes. Will we win? We'll see. but I'm counting that as one of the 11.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'll say this: I was the first guest on one other podcast, and it's called Armchair Expert.
Small little show, well. Small little show.
So, I was the first guest that wasn't Dax's wife. So may you have the same success as Armchair Expert, and keep cranking.
Throwbacks, baby. Thank you, man.
Start. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. And I really do look forward to watching your Bears this year. They're going to be one of the fun teams to watch. So good luck. NFC North's going to be amazing. And thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Last note, Iowa offense put up over 40 points last week.
Finally, right?
Hey, Cade McNamara, baby. Let's go. They got a QB.
Yeah.